Hi, hello there. This is Drake. I'm speaking to you from our greenhouse up here on Dartmoor. And today I wanted to talk to you about when is the best time to pot on seedlings. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use some examples. So we have some kale here, some kale seedlings. Now, if you look, I'll bring this in very close, but if you can see all these tiny little leaves here, like all you've got is two little leaves to each little seedling. And those are called the cotyledons. And the cotyledons are actually part of the embryo of the seed. And they actually provide a lot of the nutrients to the growing plant. And you can see it more clearly on a courgette plant here. So these two leaves that came up first, these are the cotyledons, and they're quite fleshy in the case of a courgette. The true leaves are the ones which come next, and these here are, much more softer leaves. Oh, I've got a green fly there. Yes, so they're a lot softer, and and those are the true leaves. So, when's a good time to pot on? Well, the best time I would say is when you've gone past the point of it being the cotyledon stage. So, as you said, the kale is still at the cotyledon stage. You can, with some plants, move them on at this stage, but I would leave it a little bit longer. I would leave it until it's got to this stage, and this is broccoli. And this broccoli here, you could probably see, here are the cotyledons growing here, and here are the true leaves. So I would say at this point, these are ready to be potted on. And you may, with some, like with these, you can look underneath and sometimes you'll see all the roots coming through. And then you really know that they're ready to move on. Now those two examples there, both the kale and the broccoli, are both grouped together, and they need separating out because they're going to grow into big plants, and I need to separate them out so they can get the maximum amount of nutrients, the maximum amount of sunlight, and just really thrive. And that's the same with the courgette. However, some plants like this is coriander, really thrive when they're all crunched up together. And in a previous video I showed you about growing rocket, and the example there with rocket, it thrives very well when it's crushed up together with its siblings, and it seems to thrive in those tight conditions, as does this, as does things like this. So this is lettuce, and this is great. It's fine like this. This is kind of like pick me and come again lettuce, and it doesn't really need to be separated out into individuals. You can do that if you wish to, but I think because of the nature of the plant and they're quite delicate, that they rely on each other. They can kind of lean on each other, which is a lovely way of thinking about how plants develop. So they can lean on each other and really thrive in that environment. Another example I'm going to use is here we have morning glory, and you can see they're all kind of thrown in together and crunched up, and they're just, well, actually, yeah, no, they're just coming into their true leaf stage. So what I would do is actually I will move these on, because if you can see how large these are, they're not terribly big. This was planted at exactly the same time, but as an individual, and you can see how much larger this is doing. This is really thriving much more than these. So I will separate these out so they're like this. And if you want to create a very beautiful kind of impactful display, then of course at a later stage you can put these together in the ground and they will give you that display. But by leaving them together like this, you end up with a slightly meaner display. Also, you're really relying on more inputs. You're going to need to feed them a little bit more because they do like a bit of food. So that's another consideration, that if you do put them into individual pots, then they're going to get all the nutrients within the soil in the pot that you put them in, and from the sunlight, of course. Whereas if you scrunch them together, they're all drawing from the same well, if you like, in terms of the amount of soil they can get their nutrients from, and also their access to daylight, because if they're all crunched together, they don't quite all get as much daylight. So I know it's not a necessary blanket statement that you separate them or you put them together, and a lot of it will be trial and error. And please embrace that. And I've said this before, but I really truly believe that gardening is so much about gardening is about trial and error. It's about experimenting. It's about whatever one person tells you isn't the truth. That you need to go out there and play and accept the consequences of that. That sometimes plants won't survive. And, it's sad, but it will happen. But other times they will go amazingly, they'll grow ballistically, they'll be fantastic. So just really go for that, embrace that. Finally, if you have any questions or anything you'd like me to cover, then please do leave a comment, and I'll look at whether or not I can include that in the series of videos that I'm doing. And as I'm doing these every day, I really want to develop more of a two-way conversation, if you like, with you guys. So yes, so please do that, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Thank you for your time, and I hope you have a really wonderful day. Thank you very much, and goodbye.